recently moved back in with my family after a tough breakup. My ex and I had been living together in an apartment in Boston, but things didn't work out. A piece of advice: don't sign a lease with someone you've just started dating. He turned out to be someone entirely different from who I thought he was. My parents live in rural western Massachusetts, and if you're familiar with the area, you know it gets more secluded the farther west you go. I'm not a fan of country life. I've always preferred living in or near a major city, especially in my 20s. The slower pace here is a huge adjustment, and I'm hoping this arrangement is temporary until I can find an affordable apartment. Boston, however, is off the table for personal reasons. For now, I've returned to my old job at an urgent care facility. They welcomed me back with open arms, even though it's a temporary stint until I can move out again. The downside is the hours. I often work overnight shifts. While they're relatively easy, they're dull and completely throw off my sleep schedule and social life. Then again, social opportunities here are slim anyway. After one of my shifts, I decided to stop for food at 4 a.m. A local bagel shop had just opened, and I picked up a chicken sandwich and a salad. I also needed gas, so I stopped at a Shell station on the way home. The station's large parking lot was nearly empty, which isn't unusual, even during the day. As I fueled my car, another vehicle, a blue sedan, pulled up. A man got out and began refueling. He approached me and said, "Want to see a funny trick?" Against my better judgment, I replied, "What's the trick?" He proceeded to do a childish, finger-pulling trick, looking at me with a sarcastic expression. I gave a polite fake laugh, hoping he'd leave, but he kept doing it. When my tank was full, I quickly replaced the nozzle and went inside to get my change. By the time I returned, the man was gone, but his car was still at the pump, the gas still running. Uneasy, I checked my back seat before getting into my car and locked the doors as I drove home. When I arrived, I used the spare key my parents hide to unlock the front door, then re-hit it and locked the door behind me. I went to the kitchen to eat, trying to stay quiet so as not to wake my parents. But as I was eating, I heard the front door unlock and open. I froze, then called out, "Mom? Dad?" No response. Panicked, I ran upstairs to find my parents still asleep. After I woke them and told them someone had entered the house, my dad sprang into action, searching every room while I followed nervously. In the dining room, I knelt to check under the table, and there he was, the man from the gas station. I screamed, and my mom joined in. My dad rushed in, and we all confronted the intruder together. Despite being outnumbered, he overpowered my dad at first, but with all three of us fighting back, he eventually fled through the front door. We called the police, who responded quickly. They patrolled our driveway overnight to ensure our safety, but the man still had the spare key. The next day, my dad replaced the front door lock, and my parents decided never to leave a key outside again. I feel immense guilt for not being more cautious and possibly leading this man to our home. Reflecting on the incident, I'm certain he followed me with his headlights off because I didn't see any cars behind me during the drive. While I'm relieved my family is safe, this experience has only deepened my resolve to move out as soon as possible. As I powered through the drive late at night, the roads were nearly deserted, and it was rare to spot another vehicle. I was becoming restless and in urgent need of a restroom, so I eagerly pulled into a small rest area when I saw the blue sign, relieved to find a bathroom building, despite the eerie emptiness, save for one other car with tinted windows. Inside the bathroom, I was unsettled by a man standing motionless in the corner, facing the wall with his back to me, a sight that froze me in confusion and discomfort. Trying to ignore him, I entered a stall, but couldn't bring myself to use the restroom in the silence. And when I stepped out, he had turned to face me with a disturbingly blank stare that sent me fleeing to my car. As I sped back onto the highway, shaken but determined to put the encounter behind me, I soon stopped at another rest area to finally use the restroom, only to hear footsteps approach and stop directly outside my stall. Panic set in when I realized the same man had likely followed me, forcing me to call 911, whose operator's voice thankfully scared him off. After safely waiting for the police to arrive and ensuring my car was untouched, I continued my journey, haunted by the night's terrifying events and the realization that such danger can happen to anyone, regardless of gender